Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Marketing Matchmaker. I'm super excited about today's episode. It is another interview, and I'm interviewing today Jannette Anderson. Jannette is the expansionist because she helps people and businesses grow, which is what Marketing Matchmaker is all about: growing your business, increasing your revenue, and scaling your impact. Jannette has 40 years of strategic planning, sales, and marketing experience. And yes, she started probably when she was 5. Um, and she is definitely a powerhouse when it comes to helping business owners grow their business. And I'm going to give you, Jannette, an opportunity. Give our audience who you are, what you do, who you serve, and really what it is, why you do what you do.
Okay. Well, there's a lot in there. Hi,
Right?
Jennifer. So let me start with the title. So yes, I'm the expansionist. I'm also known as the why whisperer, which is what we're going to talk about today: why your why matters and how to use it to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And I love working on that because purpose and what motivates us internally and all of that work is kind of half of my life. I've been facilitating personal growth workshops and teaching coaching certification programs for over 38 years. And so I love the inner game. And then I've been doing business startup and turnaround, really helping people, entrepreneurs with marketing strategy, sales, the business development side of things, mostly for over 40 years. And love that. I call that the outer game of business. So my specialty is getting the 4 inches between your ears working so your business can work. And uh, I'm going to do something that I would never advise my clients to do. In fact, I would tell them not to do this. I'm going to tell you about two markets that I have. And the reason I'm doing that is because I am transitioning, expanding. It depends on how you look at it. I have been helping women predominantly. I got a download about this thing called Bodacity, which was a mindset and a community and a global movement about a dozen years ago. And then I resisted it for a long time. I'd get the call and I'd be like, but I don't even like women. Go away. And I'd hang up. And I'd get the call and I'd be like, but there's so many women's groups back when there was 4 and now there's 4 million. And I'd get the call. Anyway, finally, you get the idea. I was stubborn and resistant and kind of dabbled in and, dipped my toe in and did it half-ass. And then I finally decided, after a lot of persistence on the part of the universe, to go all in. And then of course I understood why women, why now, and why me. And really, Bodacity is about, the mission is shifting the world from fear to love, one happy and empowered woman at a time. And I think that the call for women to step up is really about reinventing how we do business. Well, really, it's about reinventing the patriarchy, but starting with reinventing business to a more collaborative, sustainable, co-creative model, which is something that women can excel at when they really let themselves stand in their power and get creative and get over this whole thing that we're not supposed to trust other women like we've been trained.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what Bodacity has been about. But as we shift and as we grow and change, so does our demographic quite often. And so I became aware of, well, I would hate to use this word, but I was going to say the victim of ageism about 4 years
Yeah.
ago, Marketers Cruise. I was in a networking event and someone said, "What do you do?" I was mid-sentence answering, and turned and started talking to someone else. And I was like, "Oh, well, what a dick." And then I went off to the next group. Happened again. And I started to get curious. Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not showing up. And it's like, no, that's not it. I mean, I've got blue hair and polka dot glasses, for goodness sakes. I'm not easy to ignore. And so I I really started observing, and I noticed every woman over 60 on that cruise was completely invisible. And I don't mean ignored, I mean
Oh,
people did not see them. And so I started to kind of like get really curious about that, and frankly pissed off, and wanted to, say, like, that's not okay. Like, hello, here I am and still have tons of value, more than you probably. So, pay attention. And so I now am really super excited about building the maturepreneur world, I call it, which is a platform for the millions and millions and millions of entrepreneurs that are coming into the marketplace who are over 55 and hashtag not done by a long shot. and who have so much value to offer, and innovation and new ideas and so forth, and need support. And frankly, there isn't any. Because that market's overlooked, undervalued, and completely underserved right now. So I've got a podcast, a membership site, and a conference, an event, a magazine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to really help them make that transition into their legacy project, or growing their business, or launching a business, and all of that. And I'm really passionate about that as well. So I think both demographics have an important role to play in shifting how we do business and what we do on this planet. And I'm excited about supporting both, which was a really long-winded answer to your question, but I'm doing a lot right now. So,
I love it. I mean, I love the fact that you're so passionate about what you do, because I think most of us get into business because we're passionate
yes.
about what it is we do. Which I think leads us into the direction of why, and why your why matters, right?
Yeah.
When we are passionate about what we do, there's often an underlying why for what we do. Like, we don't generally I didn't pick marketing necessarily because it was this deep love that I had when I first started it, right? This was a long time ago.
Yes.
But like, I picked it because I was interested in it. My why was very different about why I wanted to go into business for myself, and that kind of thing. It's evolved over the years, and I think that's something else that we get to touch base on, is that just like
Yeah.
you,
Yeah. Yeah.
it evolves.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Well, I think my definition of your why is a bit different than some people's. The words purpose or mission tend to be pretty laden, and like authenticity, they don't have a lot of meaning anymore. And so I tend to steer away from that and really focus more on your why. I like Simon Sinek's work around it. Mine is
right.
different in terms of how I define it. I think our why is the intersection between what you're healing from your past and what you long for your future, for yourself.
Hmm.
So what you're healing from your past and what you long for your future. And I think it's a thread that weaves through the tapestry of our whole life. It starts when we're very young, and some incident created this why. It might have been a series of things, it might have been one pivotal, significant event, but it creates this intentionality that we have, this thing that we see, the frame that we look at the world through, and the thing we want to fix, in ourselves and in the world. And so or change, or make better. And I think that's consistent throughout our whole life. How we live into that, how we express it, changes over time. I've had 4 iterations of my business. I've worked in corporate, I've worked in a lot of different jobs, I traveled with the carnival, and whatever I was doing, I was still living into my why. And so our why is consistent, our expression of it changes over time. And I think that our why is deeper than passion. Passions come and go. What I was passionate about when I was a kid is not what I'm passionate about now.
Right.
Uh, Often our passions are tied in some way to our purpose or our why, but not necessarily. Like, I can get passionate about food, that's got nothing to do with what I do, or passionate about, I don't know, Ted Lasso, or something, because I still think it's the best show on the planet. But that's not the same thing as our why. So I'm, if I can, going to just tell you a brief story to
Yeah.
illustrate my why. So when I was 5, yeah, about 5, I really wanted the book Heidi. I grew up with lots of drama and trauma and violence and drinking, and just pretty much every dysfunction you can name, I had in my childhood, and grew up predominantly with a single mother. She was married 5 times, but 4 times before I was 8. And I really learned how to read early because that was kind of my salvation or my place where
Mhm.
I would go, my safe place. I really wanted the book Heidi. I don't know why or how that came onto my radar, but I begged my mom for it, as only a very persistent Aries child can, over and over and over. Mom, can we get it now? How about now? Can we get it now? How about now? How about, can we go get the book? How about today? Anyways, finally one day she turned around and yelled, "No, we can't afford it." And I was shocked, Jennifer. I was really shocked. Not by what she said, I heard that a lot, but by the look on her face. And I remember, even though I was 5 and I don't remember much of my childhood, I remember seeing the look on her face of shame and anger and frustration and sadness, and swearing in my little 5-year-old way, I didn't ever want to see that look on someone's face again. I wanted people to have a yes life, not a no life. That's how I understood it at the time. And I decided that was what I was going to do, was make sure people had a yes life instead. And so, as kids, we don't overcomplicate things. As adults, we
Right.
do. You know,
Yes, true story.
money, no money, get money, easy peasy, right? So I decided I was going to have a business. So I had my very first business, and I had seen someone in our housing tenement have a garage sale. So one day when mom was at work, someone was probably supposed to be watching me. I hauled everything that I could out of the house and I sold it, and I had a very successful garage sale. I was super excited when she got home. Look, mom, look, I made $13.72. I don't remember a lot, but I remember that amount. I was like, problem solution, right? Well, Jennifer, she didn't quite see it that way.
No.
In fact, I got spanked. She took my money because she wasn't thrilled that I sold household knickknacks and small appliances and pretty much everything I could carry out of the house. So I ended up having to go around and buy back everything I could. The adults sold us back stuff, but the kids wouldn't sell me back my toys. So I lost most of my toys. I got spanked. She took my money. I didn't get the book. Many people would say not a very good or successful first venture, but I don't see it that way. I learned 2 really important lessons from that. The first one was, don't go into business with family. And I'm like, semi sort of kidding, but not really. And then the second one was that we can take our destiny into our own hands, and we can create a yes life or our future through business, through entrepreneurship. And I became really passionate about it at that age, and about having that vehicle be the solution for solving problems for myself and others. And so, like, literally, I had lemonade stands that I franchised because I got other kids on the other corners and we split the revenue. And I had my first business when I was 11. I had a daycare, and my first employee was the 9-year-old I used to babysit. So I became very entrepreneurial very young. I partially out of necessity. We didn't have money.
Right.
If I wanted clothes for school or books or anything, I had to make the money. And mom wasn't reliable, so sometimes we didn't have money for food and rent, and so I became very mature and very resourceful very early. So my why, and this may or may not kind of feel like it correlates, but my why is that
Yeah.
I want you to get that you matter and live like you do. Because when we get that we matter, then we can go ahead and create that yes. And why did that become my why? Well, because I wanted to matter. I wanted to be put ahead of all of the other stuff. I wanted to get
Right.
on the list. Never mind to the top of the list. I just want to get on the damn list, right? And so that became that, and the wanting people to live a yes life, have the ability to take their power back. Those 2 things together became this real passion and stand for people to use business to live into their purpose and to be the difference that only they can be on the planet. So my why has got expressed a lot of different ways in my personal development workshops that I've done, in teaching coaches, in working in corporate, in a million different ways. But I've been an entrepreneur for the better part of, I don't know, 35 years so far, 40 different iterations of my business. And it's always been, even though it's about marketing, or it's about a marketing agency or an event planning company, or the various, training things like that I do, coaching, really at its core, it's about, I want you to get that you matter and make the difference you're here to make. And so that's my why. And I think when people get that, then they can use it to differentiate themselves in the marketplace, because there's a million people who do what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love your why. I mean, I love your perspective on why. You are right. There are a million people out there, especially nowadays. The more the world changes, the more people are going online, the more people are opening their own businesses, side hustles, whatever you want to call.
Yeah.
So being able to differentiate yourself from someone else comes down to who you are, right? That's the only thing that differentiates you. Everybody can do whatever it is you're doing. There are very few things on the planet that are so special that only one person does it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do love that. So how does someone come at like figuring out their why from your perspective?
Well, there's a couple of different answers to that. So three things that I'll tell you. So one, what I used with the Heidi story is what I call a Genesis story. It's the story that describes how we started and how we came to our purpose. Um, so I have a training that I'll give your people later that helps them figure out their Genesis story. So that's one tool that you can use to help you kind of get at what that end of the thread might be. The second is I have some exercises that you can do. One is that you think of this as a magic wand that I'm giving
Mm-hmm.
you, the waving, that you could wave and change one thing about yourself, other people, or the world. What would that be? Write that down. Just write down what that is and why it matters to you. Then the next question would be, if you get on your soapbox, what do you rant about? And for those of you who say, I don't have a soapbox and I don't rant, just go ask your family and friends. They'll tell you what it is. Okay. As you do. So, what is that? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? Write those down and why they matter to you. And then think of one significant, well, I actually encourage people when I do a why session with them to think of 5 significant events from when they were young. Typically they were hard or challenging. They might have been very pleasant, but they were significant to you. Might have been big, might have been small, might have been, hugely traumatic, may have been seemingly insignificant to others, but for you they were important. What did that little boy or girl decide at that time that it meant about them or the world or other people? Not the adult looking back, but the little kid. And the younger you are, the better. What was the feeling that went with that? And what was the choice or the decision that was made that then influenced the rest of your life? So think of it kind of like the wake behind the boat. If you look back at your life, how did that play out? So you might have decided, you can't trust men, or you might have decided, I'm not worth anything, or you might, whatever the decision was about whatever happened. We make up stories. We tell stories about what happened. There's what happened, and then there's the story we tell.
Right.
The story you told that you've been living into. That, and then what's the new, better story that will help you actually create different results? That's what the adult can do. But that little child made that the best choice they could at the time and told that story. And that all of those, when you write all of those down and then step back and come back to it and look at it, you're going to see a thread. You're going to see a kind of a common denominator. You can just drill down on those and find that end of the thread, that bottom line thing that is the thing that matters to you the most, that has been that thread that weaves through the tapestry of your life. That's likely your why. If you can't get to any further bottom line, that's it. That's why you do what you do. That's what matters to you the most. That's what makes you you.
Awesome.
Those are some exercises that they can do. Now, the third thing is it's often really hard to find our own why because it's on the end of our nose, right? It's right there.
Right.
We see it. It helps to have that done in the listening of someone who can help you kind of see what we can't see. Our why is like water to a fish. We can't like see it. So get someone else to help you with that, to be the coach or the listener that can help you clarify and look at those things, and they can see often what you can't see as a real theme or thread or purpose that runs throughout your life.
I love that. I think that most people, you need an outside perspective in your business, in your life, because
Mhm.
most people can't see what's right in front of their face. That's the biggest problem I think business owners have. Is
Yep.
oftentimes they're trying to do all of the things themselves, trying to learn all of the things themselves, and they can't really access what they need.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your why, because Marketing Matchmaker is all about marketing, obviously, how do you incorporate that into your marketing? How does that make you different from everyone else?
I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to give you a really tangible, specific one that most of you can go and apply right now. Take your About Us page on your website or any marketing that you have it on and flip it, because I bet you it's upside down right now. I bet you it goes, here's all my credentials, and here's I'm a speaker and an author and a coach and a da 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 da. And here's my credentials. Here's how I do what I do. And then here's a little bit about me and what I care about, and maybe why I do it. Flip it and lead with your why. Why do you do what you do? Because people, first of all, that's what they buy. They don't really buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and they either resonate with it or they don't. It's a great filter. Secondly, it gets them to know, like, and trust you faster because you're talking about what matters to them. Who are you really? And should I bother reading anything else about you? The other stuff doesn't really differentiate you because I guarantee you go look at other people's sites like yours. You're going to see
Yeah.
the same stuff on the top paragraph. So flip it and trust that why really does matter, because people think, oh, that's, personal. I give you an example. I was at a networking event. This was a long time ago. There was about 30 women in this room. And honest to God, there was 5 shamanic coaches. And every one of them, what do you do? I'm a shamanic coach. What do you do? I'm a shamanic coach, with no differentiation. How would I, first of all, A, know what the heck that meant if I didn't know? B, I have no idea what's in it for me. And C, how would I pick between the 5?
Mm-hmm.
If they told me about who they were and what they cared about in the world, and then that therefore led them on this journey to become this, and they use this tool, and this tool is really helpful in this way, benefit oriented language, then I would probably be a lot clearer, lean in a lot more. So in your networking, start with your genesis story, and stand out. Don't sound like everyone else and do the I'm a this and this and this and that,
Mm-hmm.
none of which tells me anything about what I care about. In networking, all people want to know is, what does what you do for me?
That's in everything, every marketing.
Yes.
Does not matter. Say this all the time. People don't, this sounds as mean and it's really not, but they don't care about you. They
Yeah,
care about how you can help them.
exactly. And
So,
lead with that. Here's who I am and how I can help you, but here's where I'm coming from. This is my why, So if I that Genesis story, by the way, I can tell in 2 sentences, and I can do it in 15 minutes. I can expand or contract it. So I use it when I'm networking. I use it when I'm telling a story like this. I use it when I'm giving speeches. So in all of your marketing, your About Us, your speeches, your bio that you give on the back of a book, your coaching package information about you, lead with your why. Lead with why you do what you do. Then lead with, and then put, and that's what's in it for you is this, the benefits. Then what do you do? Then credentials and, any authority pieces, especially because for most industries that are listening to this podcast are likely service industries and are likely supporting people in some way. So they're coaches or they're speakers or they're trainers or they're, in some kind of service business. In most cases, you really got to lead with heart first and then the facts. And you do need both. But unless you're speaking to an audience of in disc, high I's and high
mhm.
C style, or sorry, D and C style, like very controlling, very analytical styles, always start with your why. And
Yeah.
even for the highly analytical, so if you work in engineering or something like that, still use your why, but tell the story shorter so that they can connect with your humanity, but then follow it up with the facts and the things that are of interest to them.
I love that. I love that piece of advice when it comes to using your why in marketing. I know you have a gift for the audience all around the Genesis story.
I
So how do people go about accessing that?
So it's a complimentary training. It's yes, it's going to take you about an hour to do it, maybe a little more to work through your Genesis story. And some of you just want instant gratification, so don't bother if that's the case. If you would like to actually wrestle to the ground, this kind of, some people call it an origin story or a signature story. For me, it's the genesis of your purpose. So that's kind of how I use it. You can go to Bodacity, that's BODACITY.ca/Genesis dash story. So Genesis is GENESIS, Genesis dash story. That's a training. There's templates. There's a little formula that you can use until you want to, use the formula to get clear. Then you can go ahead and get creative and riff. But it's not so that you will sound formulaic. It's so that you get clear and clarity around the structure, and then you can make it personal and make it fit for you. I think that's good advice for any formula that you come across.
I agree.
Use the structure because it's usually been proven by the people who are giving it to you to be highly effective. Don't be a rebel right out of the gate. Support you. Then, if you need to, adjust it, adapt it, and test to see if your version works better than the original version. If not, just do what you were told. Okay.
I mean, most of the time, if you just stick to the damn plan, it will work out in
Yes.
your favor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Jannette, today, Jannette. I will have that link in the show notes. And if somebody is either in the maturepreneur space or they're a female entrepreneur that is looking to kind of elevate their why, their mission, their business, how do they reach out to you? How do they connect with you?
Well, you can connect with me via email at Jannette, JANNETTE at Bodacity, BODACITY.ca, because I'm from Canada, although I am polyhomorous, so I'm always somewhere else. But I do love Canada, just only for 6 months of the year because I'm allergic to winter.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. And so you can email me or you can find me on social media. I have a Purpose and Profit Sisterhood podcast and Purpose and Profit Sisterhood Facebook group. You can find me on LinkedIn, or the maturepreneur.world. That's where that whole world is getting created that I'm super excited about. So I'd be happy for you to come and find out more. It's currently just got information about the event, but we'll be putting up stuff about the network and the podcast and all that later.
That's awesome. I am so excited in the direction you're taking with your business. And also, for those of you out there that are trying to differentiate yourself, it may be time to step into your why if you are not clear on it right now. It will help you. Understanding your why, being able to incorporate it into your market, it helps you to differentiate yourself, which will help you grow your business, increase your revenue, and scale your impact. Until next time, get out there and do the thing. Thank you for listening to the Marketing Matchmaker podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear your feedback. Please head over to Apple, iTunes, and leave a review so we can hear from you. And if you are a coach, consultant, or online course creator who are looking to grow your business, increase your income, and scale your impact, connect with me at yourmarketingmatchmaker.com. I look forward to hearing from you.